Here we go. All right, all right, all right. What's up, Rebel Nation? Andy McCabe here, and 17 of my closest Rebel friends. Another wonderful Tuesday to you. We're ready to rock and roll, but as always, we start with the Rebel commitments. I spent last week, or was it 2 weeks ago, with Jennifer Dosher and Dave Meyer, and we took a deep dive into mission and purpose and values and strategies, and we kind of reworded the Rebel commitments, and we named them commitments, not agreements, not rules. So it's going to be a little fresh today, but you should be able to recognize them as I go through them. Here we go. Rebel commitments. Commitment number 1, I will protect the value of my services. I will not devalue the services of another restoration professional by providing anti-competitive bids. You see the difference in that one? Commitment number 2, I will practice incredible transparency. I will explain our processes in detail to my client. I will never hide details or manipulate reports. I will never communicate with a third party without also communicating with my client. Commitment number 3, I do not believe in competition. The restoration professionals in my market are a part of my community. I will be an active member of that community. It is our unbreakable unity that will create the change we strive for. Commitment number 4, I am willing to walk away from any project, client, or contract that is not compatible with my values and stated mission. Healthy relationships do not require us to give up money, sleep, or our humanity. So, who heard the differences in that one? I like it. It's cleaner, it's more concise, and it's more really what we're talking about here. I got to tell you guys, I am getting so much heat from outside sources. It is ridiculous. There are so many people on the outside of our movement that want to just poke holes in it and point fingers and say you're doing it wrong. Well, if we're doing it wrong, where was everyone else that knows how to do it right? I got to tell you, the more heat I get, the more I realize we are doing it right. We are doing something that no one else was willing to step up and do. And that's take a stand. That's stand for something. We don't stand for anything. We're going to fall for everything, right? That was a paraphrase, but you know how it goes. It's working. We have energy. We have momentum. Now we need to coalesce. That's the next year is going to be about coalescing, coming together in regional and local chapters and reaching across the aisle, cutting down competition, and creating that unity that will create the change. So there's my speech for today. There's one more person waiting to get in the room. Nope, 2 phone call-in guys. I had the luxury of just not having an agenda today. So Joe and Clark came up with an agenda. But before we do that, who's here for the first time? Come on. Come on, sneaky people. There we go. Well, that little man, little Tyler Otto is here for the first time. What's up, brother? Okay, who is there no first timers today? Nobody? Come on. All right, fair enough. Well, let's go with who has anything exciting to share. David shared with something offline with us, new venture. Congratulations, good luck in that. We're going to support you any way we can. Anyone else have anything happen this week that they'd like to share with the group? No? No? Yeah, all right. Hey, I don't give you too many chances to get out there and say stuff. All right. Well, Clark and Joe, why don't you tell us what we're in for tonight? Is it Clark? Oh my God.
Joe is
does one of these pointing things.
Joe's chewing. Joe's in the middle of a chewing for something. Yeah, so we had a couple things we were going to talk about tonight. I was going to put together a little image share of some of the speakers. I know we've been getting a lot of questions about who's speaking exactly and what is their background. What are they going to be? What are they going to be laying on us? You know, what's their background? And what are we going to be gaining from that? And then, and we've already want to give a shout out to the sponsors. The sponsors are very important to this event because it keeps the prices down for a 2-day event for only $250 a day. We're just barely covering food and drinks for an event like this. So I certainly want to acknowledge those that have stepped up in a financial, monetary way. Not only with supporting them as a group, but thanking them for their contributions. So, Joe, you may just go ahead straight. I don't see Joe. I did. He was chewing. Oh, there you go. He said, I'm number one by the thumb. All right, I'm going to try this screen share right quick. So I'm probably going to have to keep talking and spending some time here and not wasting, but stalling. Is that the right word? Is that the right word, Christine? Stalling, like the guys on the radio when they don't quite have a record ready to go. Oh, spin records, right? I will say every week I talk to a lot of really new or relatively new people in our group. They may have been here a while and they were lurking in the shadows. And I think we all know that when we look at the population of our group and then look at the familiar contributors, there's a big gap there. There's a lot of people that are watching and looking, and some have different agendas, but some are just like, I just want to wait till there's something that resonates with me, that kind of speaks to me, that I actually have something to contribute. And I could probably learn a lot from that. I could probably wait till something was in my wheelhouse, but it's just not my style. And it's certainly not Andy's style. So I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to have to email this to myself real quick. It'll only take me a moment here. But we wanted to talk about that. And I think Joe had a couple of topics that we're both going to bounce around. Probably no raccoon stories today, Joe. We're going to talk about squirrels today or what?
No squirrels today. We're going to talk about how not to waste payroll.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, all of us in our businesses, there's that day or that time when we're like, I'm wasting payroll. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how to stop it and how to make your business better by doing it. So,
yep. So I'm lagging on my internet here. I'll have it here in just a second. Here it comes. And email. Again, sorry for the radio silence. I thought we might have some new people that could talk here while I finished up assembling this PowerPoint. Well, anyway, I talked to a couple of good restoration rebels today. Not all of them were, one of them was just, hey, I'm a big fan of the group. Somebody was having another member we have that's a really good member. Hey, Andy, I'm stalling because I'm trying to get my internet to act up here or act correctly.
Stop acting up. All right. I'm trying to get my kids to stop acting up.
Yeah, good luck. I got a better chance of my internet working.
I think you do.
Yeah. I talked to someone today, and we've seen this in our group, and this person was about ready. I think he actually shaved his head, but he's ready to pull his hair out over the Erie using Rytech.
Rytech,
as
okay.
a TPA, and they're brutal, man. I mean, and what was interesting about this one job, it was actually a very large house. It's a $5 million house in Pennsylvania or Maryland during the freezes, but a $5 million house that is insured by Erie. First off, sound like it was over their pay grade, but I guess it wasn't.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah.
But they are. And I mean, this person described, I was driving, so I couldn't review the file, like look at it, but he described, he had the moisture readings, he had everything down, but they're beating him up on a 15-day dry on some $75,000 wood floors.
But he saved the floors?
He saved the floors.
Oh.
And his total MIT bill is 21, and they're trying to pay him 12. And they said that somewhere along the middle that he did not have, I'm sorry, hold on. that the GPP. I'm sorry, I lost the camera. The GPP did not maintain on the curve. Well, there's a curve there that will not maintain the same depression every day. I mean,
well, we're not drying air.
Right.
We're not drying air. We don't get paid to dry air.
But I mean, here he saved the insurance company. Let's say they want to pay him $12,000. It was $75,000 for the floors, and that's probably what they cost when he had them installed. It wouldn't be today's rate.
Be more than that.
He saved them minimally $55,000, and they want to beat him up over that on his equipment. And it was arguing the category 1 to 2. It went through several floors of the house, and I mean, my answer is just stand your ground. But I tell you what, some small companies, $21,000 is a big payday, and they need to get that to start funding. So I can't sit here and say just fight them to the end. I was like, literally figure out what it's going to take. I mean, there's got to be somewhere in the middle. But
I don't know that. Yeah,
that's a hard one. Fighting
to the end is not going to do anyone any good. It's not going to cash flow in time to make a difference, a meaningful difference. I'm going to start recommending, and this is a good place to do it. I'm going to start recommending people get these adjusters on the phone. Don't get the right tech guy on the phone. Don't get your client on the phone. Get the adjuster on the phone and have a conversation. Don't get into these email wars, because email wars don't do any good. You can't really communicate effectively via email anyway. And if you can't meet the adjuster in person, the second best thing you can do is just get them on the horn. Get a feel for the type of person they are and what they're dealing with. And then you can argue, hey, what does my GPP have to do with the moisture content of this wood? What does my GPP have to do with the value of this floor if our client is not happy with it? But it's going to take a brave conversation and not a angry email. I think that's what it comes down to.
Here was my takeaway. So in the storytelling, he's got a very satisfied customer who still trusts him.
Okay.
And there's an agent involved.
Yep.
I said, first off, that homeowner and that agent need to fire Rytech.
Yes.
They need to go to Erie and say, Erie doesn't work for me. I don't know who they are. I didn't ask you to bring them in. I want to talk to the people that, and I see Jerry is over here shaking his head. There's an agent there that does not want to lose a $5 million residual policy. Mm-hmm. And he probably has some cars. He might have a vacation home. He might have some jewelry. Wait a minute. And they need to get a hold of Erie and say, you sure you beat these people up over $8,000-$9,000? I mean, that's just crazy. And possibly be having the homeowner paying the difference.
I had a guy, I interviewed a guy today. Oh, Bob, you got something to chime in on that?
Yeah, what you were saying, Andy, I think that, it's great to have the adjuster on the phone, but I also think the homeowner should be on that three-way call.
I had a great conversation with somebody who's going to be on my next episode of the podcast, episode number 16. And I'm not going to name him right now, but he worked for Allstate for a number of years and really had a very good perspective. And he said, there is a certain point where you have to win over your client enough and educate and empower your client enough that your client gets on the horn with their agent, like you just said, and the adjuster, and says, you know what? These guys were here. These guys were here for 17 days. They did show me everything that they did. And I believe that the schedule of fees that I signed and the work product that they gave me is commensurate. There's no fluff in here. They did what they said they were going to do. They did a great job for me. Now you pay up. And this is coming from the 17-year Allstate guy. He says you got to get the homeowner involved. But if you don't have the homeowner on your side, if you haven't educated and empowered your homeowner, that's a tough conversation.
And I went back to this with this person, and I said, you can't, no matter if they're on your team or not, you can't give them an out. Your customer can't. It's not the time for them to tap out and say this is on you. But so two things. I did. He's wanting some backup on the drying method, and I've introduced him to an RTPE. Okay. I don't think he needs to. Listen. He's got an RTPE in his backyard. Okay. And then lastly, Rytech pulled out. We sent this to 4 more of your competitors in your market. There's no truth to that. Show us. He said, and that's what I said. Show me their rebuttal, and they were all matched with Rytech's numbers. There's no way you got 4 contractors to match one number of a claim.
Well,
and you know what?
How many contractors were there when it was being dried? Oh, just the one? Okay, thank you. Sorry, Joe.
Well, and here's the other thing, too, that nobody's factoring in. It's the ALE. On a $5 million home, to replace the wood floors on that, they're out for a month minimum. You're talking another $30,000 for ALE for a $5 million customer. So that's $30,000.
The pack out, right?
Well, right. I mean, that's where I was going next. That's where I was going next, right? So then you got this pack out. That's on a $5 million home. That's another $40,000. You're 70 plus the 50. You're 120. You're saving the carrier upwards of $130,000 to $140,000 plus claims management. Call it $150,000. Really, we're going to talk about $12,000, and I think that's just a conversation with the adjuster. Put all the numbers in there. What are they going to do?
So I'd say this beyond the adjuster, though. So you're assuming there's an adjuster. How many times have I done this with an independent, right? So the like Crawford Company, for one. So like he ain't got skin in the game. So here's what I've done. I called the carrier and I was just like this. Hey, I want you to know we're doing this. And because normally what happens, right? The carrier points at the third party adjuster, don't they? And the third party adjuster says, I'm going by carrier guidelines, don't they? And so I just say, hey, you guys are you're both pointing fingers at each other, and your customer is about to have an uphill battle. But like, you got to do that on day 2 or 3, right? You don't have to, but like the sooner you do it, you're not doing it on day 14 or day 15, right? So, because at some point, let's say that it's a 30-day dry out. Like, at what point are you going to run the bill up and say, I need to get some clarity, right? Are you going to hand the bill to your customer? At some point, they don't have the money to pay for it, okay? And so that's the reason why we just personally reach out on day 2 and give them like a scope. Like, we think this type of category X, class X materials, 3-day, 4-day, 5-day dry time. And if they don't have a problem with it, you gotta reach out to them every day. Hey, I got this amount of equipment on this every day. It's running. This amount of equipment on this job, it's running. And if they don't tell you that you need to get it off the job, they're kind of telling you it's okay, right? I'm just saying that's what we really need to do, is be proactive while the bill's running, like we do in the commercial jobs, don't we? Right? The T&M stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and he did say that Erie sent out an adjuster on day 2, and he wasn't advised, he wasn't there, and the homeowner said they were there 8 minutes and said, "This is bigger than me. This is way out of this is above my reserve." And so they tapped out. So yeah. Anyway, I hope that turns out well. Hey, listen, I'm going to do a screen share here. I think I'll be able to hear everybody, and tell me if you can't see this. But I'm going to go over our speakers here. Whoa, this is a crazy thing. Screen. Oh man, nothing ever works as planned, does it? Joe, man, I'm sorry, Joe. I'm screwing this screen share thing up, but it is what it is, right? Okay. Can y'all see my screen?
No.
Joe, go ahead. I'm gonna have to catch the end of the meeting, okay?
All right, cool, no problem. Hold on, we got some kickback. All right, so in business, I apologize, I'm going somewhere where you can see me. In business, we have employees, we have payroll, and we have to pay that payroll. At some point, we walk into the shop and we see our guys doing nothing, maybe cleaning the trucks for the 4th time. I don't know, like fill in the blank. Maybe it's 2 guys in the truck driving to Home Depot to pick up supplies when it only took 1. We find ourselves looking for the waste, right? We often do, because we just don't want to see it. That's part of our problem. is we're looking for the waste instead of looking from a different perspective. So me and Clark talked about this pretty extensively, and ironically, we do a lot of the same things. We don't look at it as waste. We look at the schedule. We look at the operational schedule. We say, okay, we have a light workload coming on Thursday. Let's schedule some training. And we've always just filled our tech's time with training. Like, yeah, the shop clean, the equipment's be organized, et cetera, but that stuff's done regularly. What we wanted to focus on was giving them more skill sets, right? Teaching them more, giving them more knowledge. So, like, we'll give them a roll of poly and a roll of tape and say, go make door templates until we can bounce quarters off them. Whatever it is, spending the time to train the technicians when there's downtime is so beneficial. Everything in your company culture starts to change almost immediately because you start to see better production, less problems. Everybody's just kind of just doing their job better, happier customers, more efficiencies. It starts to pay off tenfold. At the end of the day, we're all going to have operations where we're going to have quote unquote wasted payroll, where we have to have the labor there, but it's just not making us any money. We'll stop letting it not make you money and start letting it make you money by giving them training. There's so many good methods to implement as a small, medium, and even a large business that are training programs that are easy, that you can like chew off 15 minutes at a time or 30 minutes at a time, right? So big shout out to 24-hour technician. For those of you who haven't gotten it from Andy, like, talk to him, secure it. It's a perfect thing to implement when you have downtime with your techs. Drip knowledge to your techs. Jeremy Reed's online education, really powerful stuff, really good, phenomenal, right? Sign your techs up, get them going every couple of weeks, every couple of days when they have downtime. The point is, guys, is find something that works for your business, find something that works for you and your staff, the amount, their skill set, the knowledge they need, and just start training. Another really good thing is have reps come in. So, like, if you buy from a Ramsco, for example, right, and you've been using Shockwave and you've been using these FiberLock products, go to your rep and say, hey, have the FiberLock guy come in next time he's in town. I want him to talk to my guys about all the products in depth. And let all your technicians sit there and listen to the rep talk about all of the products. You're going to have technicians walk out of that meeting and be like, oh, that's what that's used for? They use it every day. Like, this is the real conversation that's going to take place. Give them knowledge. Stop looking at your payroll as a negative or as a waste. Start looking at it as, dude, we have time in the schedule. Let's teach them this today. And just watch how everything changes. Watch how your company culture evolves. Watch the impact that it starts to make in your business. More importantly, with your customers. We really just wanted to make sure that you guys are looking at your mindset of your business. It's so easy. It's so easy for so many of all of us to be owner operators, to be technicians running a technical company. And as leaders of the Rebel Group, we just want to try to bring more to that so that you can be owners of a technical company, so that you can have knowledge that can take you places and you don't have to trip over everyone else's mistakes. None of us have the silver bullet. We all have a lot of knowledge and experience, and we just want to give it to everybody. Any comments? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I want to get some comments from some people. Anybody do anything like that?
Hey, I'm here. This is Travis.
Hey, Travis.
Hey, man. So yeah, we have a schedule for all our workers, all our leads and our helpers all have certification training, schedules, especially when there's somebody in charge of all those programs for the technicians, and then we get them hired, to train them immediately. And I like the blank slate technicians where they kind of come in and I can just download all the right information into them immediately, and then be able to get them out to ISDRC courses and stuff. So a lot of people come in with their own training from other companies, and it really kind of brings my company down immediately. So I kind of have to start over. So I like the blank slate stuff, and all my technicians have, stairways to be estimators. And so we're always having meetings with the estimators and techs and trying to teach the techs how to be estimators out there. So I think certification, I just got my master restoration certification today, and I felt really good to get that finally. And I think it's really key when you're slow to train the workers, and Joe, hit the ball out of the park like he always does. And I really appreciate that feedback he has there.
Hey, congrats on your masters.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's not a whole lot of people have that. People forget that.
I'd like to chime in. I'd like to chime in a minute if I could, please.
Yeah, David, go ahead.
Yeah, as a former master license holder, I had found that a lot of owners and managers don't show up before their employees show up. So they're showing up at the same time. They're reacting to their schedules. And as you know, we're crisis managers. So first showing up the same time our employees show up, we're managing the crisis of them even getting there. So I have found over the years that based off your position within your company, I was always the first guy to show up, usually about 6:30. Then my operations manager would get there about maybe 6:45. My production managers would get there about 7:15 or so. So when our crews would show up on the job site at 8 o'clock, they were out the door no later than 8:20 to their trucks, and then their trucks on the road at 8:30. So I think if there's a way we could teach these young owners to show up early, plan the night before. As you know, our schedules can totally change from the night when we go to bed to the time we get up. Show up early, be ready for your technicians to come to the office. So that's something we used to always do. Always show up early based on your responsibilities within the company.
Yeah, appreciate that, David. I'll tell you what I used to do. I used to go one further. I used to watch, I worked for a really large restoration company out of Central Texas in Austin, San Antonio area. And I took over this office as an ops manager, and I used to watch all of the techs and the supers and every position together would all meander in, lollygag around. They'd pull their work orders and see what they had to do for that day. They'd start pulling some supplies at their leisure and putting them into trucks, and then eventually get to their truck and leave. Sometimes that was close to 8:45, 9 o'clock. And guess where the first stop that they made? The gas station, picking up some burritos and a Red Bull. And you didn't hit the first doorknob until 10 o'clock. So we, Andy said he had to leave. So I was like, okay, we've got 17 people here that are all coming in here and basically wasting 2 hours apiece, right? Did the math on. I hired one guy. I hired like a little warehouse guy that was going to be a multi-purpose, fix equipment, run around, do moisture checks maybe. He would come in at 5:30, get the keys to every truck, run up to the gas station, make sure, and honestly, try to have them topped off the night before when they came in. Every truck was filled up, put a pallet or some kind of rolling cart at the back bay behind every truck with the work order, was what he knew and what I trained him to say, this is what this job will require. And he would load it into the back of the truck, and they would come in and leave. And, everybody's like, wow, my truck's ready. But we picked up an extra hour and a half, 2 hours of labor for everybody right there. And then sometimes a 2-day job would turn into a day and a half job, right? So it's just, people, they got to run that. And they can't let their techs and their employees be their friends. I don't want to upset them. That's the most important time they come in and talk. They come in on Monday and talk about the game. Tell them to come in an hour early to talk about that. But once they hit your clock, they're ready to go, and they'll eventually grow into being techs or leaders that say, you were hard, but you showed us how to run a legitimate business. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you. But I'm a real pet peeve of, I hate that first stop at the gas station at the Quick Trip or Wawa or whatever you have in your Buc-ee's in Texas or whatever. And there's a 45 minutes getting scratch off tickets and heating up burritos that are going to ruin you for the day anyway. Okay. Any other comments about any of those?
Clark, it's Jerry. I'll give you one comment on the topic of we're slow, and I got to keep my crew busy.
Yeah.
And I love training. That's always a go-to. But sometimes there's time. Training also includes put things in practice. And so sometimes you can do some charity work for some of the local community types, churches or boys and girls clubs or whatever is in town that could benefit from, as a nonprofit organization, could benefit from some good old-fashioned cleanup kind of stuff. And you can send your crew in there and get them to do that. And it's great for morale. It's great for the people, the recipients. And quite honestly, you can take it and do a quick press release and get some mileage out of that, or just put it on your Facebook or whatever.
Right, Facebook Live.
So it's just another way to keep you guys busy, and nobody wants to lay them off and let them go and lose good people just because I can't keep them busy this week. So just another.
I love that. And what about this? Here's one more thing. Let's say you have text. You've got a business development person that's go out, it's got a route. They're going to go out and start dropping off some material. Maybe grab some of your techs and let them pair up with some of your salespeople. Maybe set them with the estimator that's in the front office. And maybe one of their goals, you should already know what everybody's goals are. That person says, I want to be an estimator one day. So guess what? We got like 2 hours, nothing going on. Go sit with so-and-so up there. Then write this. Go sit with Andy McCabe and watch how he puts together an estimate. I mean, there's a lot to be. And then that person is going to feel better that you invested that time, but they're also going to get a better idea of how they can do a better job of getting their pictures and the notes for that person to do the exact domain. We could probably do a whole hour on this, I think
easily.
What's that?
Easily an hour.
Yeah.
Hey, Clark. I just want to mention, obviously, somebody mentioned about responding and reacting in our industry, and I think it's important to note that even when we are busy, because me personally, my company, we don't really have dead time. So, like, for instance, we just did our monthly meeting, and you have to schedule that time and do the training even when you are busy, because if you're not doing it when you are busy, then you're going to fall short in many areas. And one of the things that we did in our meeting that I think found highly beneficial is we're requesting that all of our guys get videos at the end of the jobs. Obviously, you still want to check continuity of the service because videos, they can obviously get videos of what they want, but the videos that they've been getting of the jobs are highly beneficial. We're able to put them up in front of everybody and train them on what an acceptable project is and what imperfections are that they can work and tweak to better perform.
Danny, how often? I'm glad you're here today. I hadn't seen you, and I don't think were you here last week?
I do not recall.
How often do you have meetings?
What's
your schedule like for meetings?
We just started doing an all company meeting because we felt we had certain staff that wasn't there, so we just started doing an all company meeting once a month. And then every Monday, I consider it like the office toolbox talk, where everybody does their time cards and then they do a safety topic. So the production team has a weekly meeting, and then we have a company-wide monthly meeting.
Awesome. Who else has weekly meetings? Dawn, do you have weekly meetings with your staff? By the way, Dawn, thank you for the sponsorship this week.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm glad I can at least do something. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And yes, we have weekly meetings with all of our techs.
Nice.
And we go over great reviews that they've had from homeowners. Plus,
those are huge.
Tips. We beef them up. We give them everything that we can to help them succeed. If they succeed, we succeed. And by the way, we started this week with commission.
I can't wait to hear about it.
I know. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
So we have two training. We have 2 hours every week that everyone's required, and they come in. It starts at 6:45 because we have to be at our first call by 8. So they come in at 6:45, and so Thursdays are sales training. Specifically, every tech is a salesperson, whether they want to believe it or not. So we we come in and train on overcoming objections, proper diagnostics, building trust, figuring out how to, turn things into, listening to the customer and what they're saying, turning that into an option, et cetera, et cetera. And then we have one that's more of a technical, and like Joe said, we're big on bringing in a local IH or maybe a vendor or someone demonstrating a product or something or another. We try to make one, but I like what you said, that you bring up the reviews and attaboys and stuff like that, because that's really big.
I just think it's important that they know that they're doing good, as well as that they do need a little improvement in certain areas. It's always nice to hear you're doing good.
And then they hear, what they hear is they hear some other people doing some great in some areas that they're not, and they usually have these little sidebar meetings, especially when they're all on commission and they're all trying to figure out that little edge. How can I get better at a crawl-space sale? Well, they team up with the guy that's doing obviously the most crawl-space sales. It's like, I want some of that. What are you doing? So without further ado, I do want to speed up real quick. And by the way, everyone, Jake, I saw your new truck, man. Did Jake leave? Jake left. Jake got a new truck today, and I love looking at these images of people with new trailers, new trucks, new equipment loadouts. I'm really a big geek for that kind of stuff. So I think Jake got a really cool truck, actually a truck that I've been kind of looking at, more of a service truck with a lot of exterior storage and doors and stuff. And, everything's easily accessible. But I'm going to try this screen share. I'm going to cross my fingers and hope it works out okay. Let's make sure I don't open anything inappropriate here. It's loading. And I'm going to want some verification from someone. Can everybody see my screen?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So here's who we have for confirmed speakers. Not this guy right here on the right. Clark Brown's not speaking. But, Andy's going to be doing a little, Andy's going to be a little bit of the MC for the event for those that are coming to the summit. And then that's JoJo there in the middle. JoJo's probably going to get on stage and do some screaming and yelling at everybody. You remind me of the guy that sells stuff on TV sometimes, man. You're so high energy.
Oh, man.
So anyway, well here, so we have Jonathan Grubb. If anybody doesn't know Jonathan Grubb, he's one of our Restoration Rebel leaders. Jonathan lives in Idaho, and he wouldn't like me to say this, but he's known the most for being the guru of the PPC, the pay-per-click. There's a lot of people that do pay-per-click in this digital world we live in, but there's very few that are doing it successfully in the restoration market. And Jonathan has a really good understanding about what words a client or a Joe Q public is going to be typing in, looking for. Just using water. He tells a funny story that early on in his career, using water, you get somebody that dropped their cell phone in the toilet and dropped it in the water. And, you start getting these calls for that kind of thing. Well, that's not what we do. He's going to be teaming up with Stellar Marketing, who is an SEO provider. They've got a lot of clients that are rebels and a lot of clients across the country that have got some extremely strong and measurable results that they're going to talk about. And as well as talking about, and I think Jonathan will tell everybody, he's looking forward to the future of the business where you don't need PPC, that you're doing such a good job and you're organically getting enough of your own leads where you don't need to get his leads. I mean, he's talking himself out of work, but there's always going to be somebody coming up that needs that. But he literally wants to graduate his people out. In the middle is Timothy Miller. Andy knows Timothy Miller. Does anybody here know? I really am embarrassed to say Timothy is a late addition to our group and as a speaker, and I'm not certain of his background. So
yeah, Tim Miller, I just hired him today.
Okay. Travis, can you speak to his background and his specialty and his area of expertise?
Yeah, the name of the company is called BDA, and he's a past owner of a restoration company, and now he focuses on a handful of companies nationwide that he helps the BD people with a marketing paraphernalia and marketing materials, and then also get him verticals and weekly meetings. And right now he's going to be coming out next Thursday to meet with my 3 sales managers, and gonna take them out one by one and teach them the ropes. And these guys have been working for me about 4 or 5 years. They're going to be trained by the best, and I really trust Tim quite a bit. I've been interviewing all the companies he's working with now, and they're all fantastic companies, 10, $20 million companies. And they said that before they had Tim Miller, they didn't really know what they were missing. And now after just a year, I think some of them just had him for about a year or two, and then they just cut the cord. And then at that point, they're just flying. So I'm super excited about Tim. And I mean, he's a fantastic, addition to, he's, obviously we're outsourcing our sales management, but I think that's the best way for me, because I got so much on my plate right now, and I need somebody like him to back me up.
Fantastic review, man. I mean, I'm about to call him and hire him myself, but I guess you're done. I guess you got to wait till you're done with him, Travis.
Yeah, well, it's not too bad, man. I'm thinking it's probably going to be 30 to 60 grand. I'm going to probably keep him on for about 6 months and then see how it goes. And then if I go out for the full term, it's 60 grand. But it's going to be well worth it, man. I've been through all his paperwork and everything else, and all the other companies he's working for here nationwide are just so have really good reviews about him. So.
Good. Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to that. The next is this handsome young gentleman here on the right. Looks like
take it easy, buddy.
Well, that's my target.
You like the tie?
I do like the tie, man. I'm trying to see is that elephants on that tie? Anyway,
that's my LinkedIn picture.
Well, everyone, this is Jerry. Jerry's on the call, of course. Jerry's here, so supports our group, and and I can't wait to meet you. And you've got a very specific, not very specific, but you've got a great, tried and true, a business model of marketing around agents. And I've heard great stories, and I just can't wait to hear more of it and hear some people really just, go back and adopt that. Because I'm like you, I'm a big fan of agents and their position in the industry. Yeah. So.
Thank you.
And we're in a great place to form positions and bonds with those agents and the homeowners and everybody.
Absolutely. Hey, Clark, let me give a shout out. Tim Miller's top rate. I mean, he's a great guy. I've met with him. We've talked together, collaborate a little bit. He is a solid. You're going to enjoy him. He's a great human being, and he runs a great product. He really is. So.
What part of the country does Tim live?
I am actually not certain. I'm not certain.
Travis may know.
Yeah, he's in Central Time Zone, I believe, but I honestly don't know.
Cool.
Are you there?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he kind of bounces around, but I think he's down in Phoenix.
Oh, really? Phoenix. Okay, great. Our next picture is of Mr. Dick Wagner. Dick Wagner has been in this industry for quite some time, has a great reputation. Honestly, we really were eager to hear that we were able to secure. Jennifer Dosher has a pretty good friendship and relationship with Dick. He stays on the trail. He does a lot of speaking engagements and really draws a big crowd. So we're very, very fortunate, honestly, to be there. Dick has a background in large loss and in sales and marketing towards moving your company towards a commercial enterprise, which I'm a huge fan of, and I can't wait to sit and listen and talk and tell some stories and some things like that. So Dick Wagner's out of Florida. I'm sure some people here know about him. He's been in the industry for quite some time. And I think we actually have a lot of members that have been through his academy and training and his tutelage. So moving along, person in the middle probably needs no introduction. And if he's doing his job right, everybody knows OP Alvarez. OP is a magical leprechaun to me. He's a lot of heart, a lot of energy. He was at our first conference in our summit in Oregon, and was just a compelling and moving and powerful presentation. He's going to be back again. He's got some new updates, some new things that he's learned in the last OP spends a lot of time and money of his own investing in himself and in every way you can think of, from business to personal to mental to spiritual. And he's always got an incredibly great story. So OP is going to be huge. If you aren't already following Restoration Mastery on YouTube, he's got a great series, a lot of great video. And right next to him is his partner in business in Restoration Mastery and his vice president of his restoration company, Tim Bauer. Tim Bauer has a very compelling story as well. I'm going to let him tell his story, but he's a great mind and a great thinker, and he's really, really good for our industry as well. So I'm really excited about them, and they really support our group. They're not big contributors to our Facebook group because they're literally, I think they both have 3 or 4 different open tasks at all times. And Tim is a published author as well. So, when you're famous like that, you get real busy. Keeping moving along, Mr. Jeremy Reitz. Again, very fortunate to have Jeremy speaking in our event. He's not there selling anything. He's actually just going to be talking about what we were just talking about, education and training, and how you can never have enough and you never have it when you need it. Jeremy's, anyone that doesn't know, has Reitz Drying Academy out of Sharpsburg, Georgia. He's going to be talking about just, some of his teaching styles. Probably talk a little bit about, heat drying. It's something he really is a big, strong component of. And then just probably taking a lot of answers and questions. He's not really, doesn't have a big agenda. He's just a great presenter. I would also like to remind everyone that last week, Jeremy and Meredith reached out and said they wanted to throw out a supporting thing to some members of the Restoration 2.0 Rebels group. They offered a Rebel code for one class that's coming up. I want to say it's next week or the week after. It's a WRT and ASD combo. They gave a coupon code for $150 off for a seat at that class, only that one class only. And then I added to that personally, any member that has already purchased a ticket to the Summit. So this is a perk for Summit attendees or people intending to attend. I'm going to put another 150. So if you bought a ticket and you or yourself or you have an employee or a tech that you want to send to Reitz Academy and you have the availability to do so, 2 weeks from now for WRT ASD combo, you're going to get $300 off. So thank you to Jeremy and Reitz for doing that. I think they had about 5 or 6 seats last week that they were trying to fill with that 150 off. And I honestly don't know. The number is on the post. I'll bring it back up to the top of the group tonight. It just says call Meredith and give her your, if you call Meredith and she says, hey, sorry, we filled it out, she should let me know and I'll take it down. So really big fan of Reitz, and we use Reitz TV at my company. Last but certainly absolutely positively not least is our own Ben Justinson. Ben has been a very, very busy person this year. He's been holding workshops all the way through January and February, and he's got a full calendar all year. Owns JRCC Cleaning out in Washington State, but is coming to speak again, second time at a conference for us on pricing feedback on Xactimate and how important that is and how you can get your labor efficiency rates up to a really good, healthy, sustainable level using Xactimate. So I've heard nothing but super, super strong feedback from all of his classes, immediate ROI. Like one project, you go back and take some of the tricks and tasks that he shows, and it just pays for the $500 class like 10 times over in a week or two. So those are our speakers. I do have an opening. Joe and I both are trying to acquire people that I think or just bring a lot of value based on what we see the group is always interested in or asking about or unsure of. And we'll announce that next week. But I've got someone that I'm talking to, and I know Joe is going to do the same thing. So more about that later. And then just real quick, I wanted to give a shout out to companies. And Dawn, I'm sorry I don't have yours up here. We put this together tonight, but I'd like to get a logo. But Dawn has become a sponsor of our company. But Anabex Systems is out of upstate New York, and they are a materials provider. They provide materials for mold remediation, so chemical supplies, products, and whatnot. MIT Consulting is a company owned by David Sweet, who does mitigation consulting services, part of his RTPE. April Air, which is a dehumidifier company, a standalone self-contained dehumidifier. Oh, somebody's drawn on the screen. April Air is a company that whole house dehumidifiers, crawl space, basements. I sell April Airs, sometimes a dozen a week, depending on the season. They're great units, great warranties. And the guy that's coming out to talk to a little bit about it, I think he's sponsoring one of the meals, and he wants to just give everybody an opportunity to understand, if you're not currently involved in crawl space encapsulation, you're leaving money on the table, and you're leaving it up to the pest control guys to make a ton of money, and they're not doing it the right way. So I really like that. Then we've got DBK Dramatic, again, a return sponsor from last year. Great heat drying products, and they have a great, incredible promo. I should have brought that into the screen, but they're basically giving away $5,500 to $6,000 worth of equipment as a giveaway with a raffle or some kind of drawing at the event. So I mean, that's just huge right there. I mean, I hope I win it, but I think I might be exempt. I don't know. United Rentals is coming. Again, Douglas Dietzel coming out to represent United Rentals. They've grown even bigger since last year. They made another acquisition. He's going to come talk about how United's there for a lot of people. And then Job Docs. Job Docs has got a booth and table sponsored. Very good, in my opinion, only. Field service software that's the race. Everyone's kind of trying to be a race to be the next big thing. And they're along with some other people, have really put in some good products, and they're just getting better every month or so with feedback from their customers. So, and I just got a message here from Andy. I thought he was off, but a last minute returning sponsor was Odorox again. Odorox is a fantastic company that sells and even rents hydroxyl generators as an opposing feature or opposing equipment versus ozone. So Tom Conroy was there last year in Bend, and I use a lot of Odorox. I use a lot of hydroxyls for category 3 sewage, as well as some smoke and soot and fire. I'm a big fan, and they're good units. They've got a good bill rate. They're very durable, sustainable. So, but I'd like everyone to just, shout out to these sponsors, tell them thanks. And if you're in the market for any of those, we like to support those that support us. I don't think I forgot anybody. There are some people talk. We've got some more large vendors that are talking about some sponsorships, but I'm not going to mention them till it comes through. So that's all I've got. It's a good lineup. I'm looking forward to the speakers, and no matter who we or me and Joe pick for our next speaker, I think even if we didn't get anybody else, we'd have a pretty good showing. But I want to fill that one more slot. But that's all I've got for tonight. Andy's messaging me. Andy wants me to mention we are 60 members short of 2,000 people. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and make a call right now. At 2,000, when we get to 2,000 members, I'm going to do something for a free ticket to the summit. I'm going to do something. I don't know yet. We'll talk to the to the leaders and rebels and figure out something compelling. But we want to give away a ticket, hopefully to somebody that wants to make it, but maybe even a tech. Listen, we saw something today, Joe, right? Or Joe or Jonathan told me today that there was a post. I haven't been on the group all day, but there's some people starting to bring their technicians. Dude, you talk about investing in your team and letting them see what the future looks like. So I love that. But maybe we'll do some kind of drawing when we hit 2,000 and get a ticket, give it away to somebody. Does anybody have anything from the week that was good enough to talk about real quick, or before we jump off? Because we're sitting right at 9:30. We've actually been on here 1 hour, but we'll take some last minute throwdowns. Or Danny, one more week before we talk about anything. I'm done too. I'll drop it if you want me to drop it.
It'll probably be another month, but it's getting closer.
Okay.
But I would like to give a big thank you out to everybody that sent the birthday wishes and participated in the charity that I put together, because there was quite a few rebels that participated. So
sweet. Love charity. All right. Bob, Christine, anything to add? You're on mute, Bob.
Yeah, we did have a list we put together for the membership. We worked on that. As of okay, we have let's see here. We've got 10 different countries that rebels are in.
Nice.
I'm just trying to get my paperwork together here.
Do I need to stall again?
Is the 10 different countries on the rebel map?
Yes.
No, they're not on the map, are they? They're just members of the group.
No, they're not. Not at all.
Yeah, no, they're not on the map. That was the map was another topic of the week that we won't go into, right, Joe?
Listen, I love all you guys, man, but updating the map is actually a lot of work. Like, no joke.
Yeah.
It is.
On that.
Actually, starting back in September of 2017, we only had 614 members. So
That was at the time of the last summit.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we've gained a lot since that time.
More than triple.
Nice. You're talking about, y'all looked at the insights on the group, right? So there's a lot of detail about how many are active and how many post regular and things like that too, right? And how many male, female, et cetera, and stuff like that, and other gender.
Yeah, we did.
I think I fall into that category. Yep. See, Andy said yes. Clark is listed as other. Something in anyone in this group that's still watching, I know this is recorded, I have a desire that when I look at this quantity of the number of members, I love all of the ones that are in here and active, but I really want to get to know the ones that aren't. And I haven't figured out how to reach out and grab those, because I think that there is Facebook has kind of changed in the last year, that if you aren't active in something, or if there's an algorithm based on how long you stay on a topic, I'm sure it's all tied into your user. But I think that there's several hundred people who came to this group, got invited by someone else, or just stumbled across it, maybe typed up restoration and joined every restoration group that they could. I think that there's a large quantity of people who haven't really come back and engaged. And I think if they did, I think it would be a whole different thing. So we make posts. It won't show up in your feed if you're not actively following. I know that because I quit seeing all of my friends from high school and my college, because I was so active in this group. This is the only thing I see on Facebook anymore. And I'm pretty sure there's some other people here that can agree with the same thing. If you're active in something a lot, Andy's cracking me up over here. Yeah, Andy said, I haven't seen any of my friends for a month. We've been so involved with Rebels. But if anybody here, just if you invited someone and you know that you don't see them often or they don't talk about it, reach out to that person you might have invited, or talk to the people in your community or something that are in restoration. And if they're part of the group, you can look through who all's in the group and they're there. Reach out to them as a personal contact and bring them back in. And they probably have a story that can help somebody, or they probably have a resolution for a problem that we don't have the answer for. So I think we just need to get everybody engaged. I mean, listen, I don't know if I saw that same list of companies or countries, Bob. I don't know that anybody in Bangladesh really is doing restoration. I don't know what restoration in Bangladesh would look like. Probably about an 82-day drying, because the walls are open. I'm just kidding. I'm really not. So I think there are obviously some random people that just wander into the group, and that's okay. Maybe we can convert them. Maybe they're TPAs. I don't know. But anyway, without further ado, looks like we'll do this again next Tuesday, right? Everybody have a great week. Hope the weather turns great. Andy's got a note here. Hold on. Last note here. Excuse me. #1 search term to folks who watch my YouTube channel, Restoration Rebel. So he's pulling people from his YouTube channel over to the group. So thank you, Andy, for that.
Hey, Clark, I got something to say.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Dave Chamorro with Elegant Restoration.
Dave.
What's happening, Clark? Hey, man, I went to the Restoration Rebel meeting you had, and just let everybody know that's a pretty good thing if you guys all can get together and meet each other. Got some good help out of it already. I've posting the questions up there, and then you guys just getting back to me with forms and all I needed. So I met John out there with you.
Yeah.
He helped me out on some stuff. So it was definitely good. So I know I've seen some other ones coming up. So if you can set another one up for around here, that'd be pretty good, or somewhere close.
Well, so yeah, there are definitely some good meetups have been happening. I know Sherry does them in Florida. Jerry Hedinger he's putting together a big meetup in Missouri, right there for that central area with Arkansas. I want everybody to know, and I posted in the group last week, we're really working hard on the Rebels regional chapters, because I think regional is where it's going to really move some needles. And I think David Olson is shaking his head and agrees. That's where you're going to have commonalities with adjusters and carriers. No longer, if you've got 30 Rebels in Southern California that are all working together on the same kind of hemisphere, you're not going to have an adjuster say, well, you're the only one doing it the way you're doing it. Not anymore. That doesn't work here. And I know 13 other Rebels that do it the same way. We build the same way. We use the same language. I think regionals are going to be where you get into form other associations and maybe infiltrate your home builder association. I think you share weather patterns. So when you have weather events come through and large freeze warnings or hurricanes or whatever, and you've reached capacity, you have affiliates that you can trust, that you can say, hey, I can't get this. I'd rather you get it than somebody off of Google. And then lastly, somebody has a huge amount of equipment that sits on their shelf. And you know what? Rent that equipment from your Rebel chapter partner instead of renting it from somebody else. You probably work out that you pay him when you get paid instead of having to pay him that week. So lots and lots and lots and lots of good. The trick's going to be finding people that can put the time in to orchestrate and keep something like that going. It's going to take a very special vetting process, people that really can spare the time to assemble that, and then keep the message the same from all groups. Some areas are going to have, I think California could probably have 2. I think Florida could have two or 3 groups. Andy just said there's a dozen rebels just in DFW in Dallas Fort Worth. So I know that we had about 15 or 20 people invited to our meetup in Maryland. Work schedules ended up kind of splitting that apart, but there's some pocket areas, and you can look at the map, just of who's on the map. I think that will take some hold, and I would like feedback from everybody in the group of what they think they would gain from that, because we're going to put down, these are agenda topic marks for a rebel group, and these are things. But I think unified pricing feedback, that would be huge for those that use Xactimate to all be providing feedback the same way. So I would say, Joe, what do you think? I don't know that we can do that before the summit. I think that's going to be after the summit. Don't you think? I may have lost Joe. You got something, David?
Yes. If I could say something, that's how a lot of the national franchise systems grew their strength and unity
Up, didn't we?
is in those regional area meetings and getting together a group of people with the commonality, goals, agendas. And the most important thing too in doing that is there's got to be a set of rules, participation rules. So this group here has a huge ability and strength to be a force within the nation.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's definitely something we're working on. It just does take some time to map it out, literally, and kind of get it organized. But our intents are to have it fully functional as soon as we can. It is going to take participation from other members, though, to step up and want to be able to volunteer some genuine time, because that's what we're doing.
Listen, that's it for me. I'm going to go see the kids. I appreciate everyone that's here.
Yep.
Thanks for Andy. Listen, have a great week. We've got good weather, and man, I'll see you all next week, and we'll try to kill it again next week. Thanks for all of you showing up. Take care.